We made the same mistake when we elected somebody by the name William Ruto as the president of Kenya, just because of claiming to be leaders, but with no track record. William Ruto says that he was a chicken seller. While we cannot confirm who are the chicken buyers, is it true that he was a chicken seller? Did he sell the chicken to become president? No. Dear Kenyans, let me tell you what. So many people claim to know our problem, but I can tell you our problem is one word: economics. You've heard now what's ongoing. There's a lot of confusion in this country on who is the kingpin for Luo Nyanza, who is going to take over after Baba leaves. Will Kalonzo be the one to take over? Is Martha Karua the one? And Martha Karua says, well, I have struggled for long. Kalonzo says, me, I've given Raila votes for too long. And there's a question also in Kenya Kwanza government, who takes over after William Ruto in Kenya Kwanza government. And I think that all these questions, though the media takes them so seriously, they are preventing us from asking the right question. And what's the right question? The right question should be, what kind of leadership do we want for Kenya? What kind of leaders do we really want? What is the answer to that question? We need what is called purposeful leadership. So with the purposeful leadership, we shall be asking questions. What does Kalonzo stand for? For example, if Kalonzo needs to be the Azimio presidential candidate, what can you expect from Kalonzo? But because data and facts are stubborn, Kalonzo was an MP for Mwingi North. If you go to Mwingi North, what is Kalonzo's record? Kalonzo was a minister in Moi's government. Kalonzo was even a foreign affairs minister. Kalonzo eventually even became vice president. What did Kalonzo do? Which mark did Kalonzo leave in foreign affairs? Which foreign policy did Kalonzo advance? As a vice president, what did Kalonzo do? We all remember Kalonzo with shuttle diplomacy trying to save the Ocampo 4 or Ocampo 6, I think, Ocampo 6. Now, we made the same mistake when we elected somebody by the name William Ruto as the president of Kenya, just because of claiming to be leaders, but with no track record. William Ruto says that he was a chicken seller. While we cannot confirm who are the chicken buyers, is it true that he was a chicken seller? Did he sell the chicken to become president? No. William Ruto was actually youth leader for Youth for Kanu 92. He became an MP of Eldoret North. After being an MP, you tell me, what is the track record? I was there on Sunday. That is one of the most suffering counties, if you like. Uasin Gishu is really suffering. Eldoret North, there's a lot of confusion in education, in agriculture, where farmers are crying. Farmers are crying foul. There was no mark. He was minister for agriculture. What did we see? He was a minister for education. What did William Ruto introduce education? We are still waiting for that track record. Then he became deputy president under Uhuru Kenyatta. What did he do? Apart from complaining that he was being sidelined by Uhuru government, then he says he wants to liberate people. And actually we elected him to office based on that fact that he said he wants to liberate people. What is their track record? So when we talk about all these things about what is the Kenyans' problem, we need to have a purpose-driven leadership. And that's why I got a little bit very upset. And I asked myself, what is the way for Kenya? Immediately President William Ruto was elected to State House. And I did a lot of research. And I was trying to find out, what is Kenya's biggest problem? And I put my finger in it. The one problem we have is economics. No one should cheat you that there's tribalism. Tribalism is not a problem. There's no Kenyans who hate each other. And with that, I did a research. I wrote a book called Solomonic Economics. Solomonic Economics is simply a book that should be able to devise a strategy, not only to solve problems in Kenya, but also problems that are affecting the developing countries. So in the Solomonic Economics, I discovered clearly that the reason why people fight each other is all because of wealth. Why do you think so? Since this government started, since independence, we've had presidents from two communities. We have president from Kikuyu and Kalenjin. So then what is happening is that Luos, among other tribes, believe that they are poor because some two tribes are dominating Kenya. Just because there's no equality in wealth, there's no goodness in wealth distribution, and more or less the poverty levels, unemployment levels in Kenya is very high, some people believe they are unemployed because of another tribe. But the problem is not another tribe. The problem is that economy is poor. People are struggling, so people are fighting for every wealth. People are even willing to bribe somebody to get a tender. People are willing to bribe somebody to get a job. People bribe to enter in the military. People bribe to enter NYS. People bribe to enter the police service. Then the police service, all those entities where people enter through bribery, people then have to be corrupt because they also have to collect the money that they lost when they are getting into these offices. So the problem we are having is actually a poverty, which can be solved economically. Now, the other tribes which have been left on the side, they complain by saying, well, because these people have control government, control instrument of state, they have captured the state, therefore they are rich. But those people who are in power also fear that if they allow, for example, other tribes which are not in government to come in, how safe are their wealth? So then the problem is not tribalism. The problem is everybody's trying to fight for the Kenyan coin. And when we want to solve this problem, like I've seen other developing countries, what has happened is bringing an economic prosperity, economic development, economic liberation. If you bring economic liberation where wealth distribution is good, which is measured by Gini coefficient in economics, we lower poverty levels, we increase wealth income, we increase people's income, we increase the GDP, GDP grows, equal opportunities for jobs, equal opportunities for business, equal opportunities for education, equal opportunities in health, equal opportunities in every good of life. Then you discover that this will be solved. And that can only be done by purposeful leadership, which I believe Solomonic economics will be able to address. For example, in Solomonic economics, we come with a way on how we can solve the problem of food security. If you can solve food security, no one will say they are sleeping hungry because of another tribe. If we don't solve economic problems, you can see, for example, the war taking place in northeastern, the cattle rusting taking place there, the lack of peace in Baragoi, the stubble reason place in Sondu, which has the Luos, the Kisi, the Kipsigis, among other tribes fighting over just a small piece of land. This is all economic. And we cannot solve these economic problems with a political solution. We always think that if your tribesman is elected, then you will get the problem solved. No, they become brokers. They become cartels. The only problem we can do, the only solution we can do is to solve the problem economically, and we have equal wealth distribution, equal opportunities. We solve the issue. Let me give an example. Do you know why Turkana was very far from other tribes? Because in Turkana, they didn't have someone who was elected as a cartel in the name of kingpin, and therefore wealth was not able to go there. Turkana got the education almost 30 years after independence when they have the first school. But if you come here, you find out that we in Nairobi, Mount Kenya, were among the first people to get education even before independence. Coast got the same thing. Luo Nyanza also got schools before independence. How come Turkana came much later? It's just because there was no one to speak on their behalf, and therefore they could not have access to this economic development. So in Kenya, the solution is robust economic development for us to have prosperity, and that can only be solved through purposeful leadership.